Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Friends, Datuk and Chansri, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Saturday, March 12th, 2011 contribution to Pearls and Jam. Jewels from the Qur'an, small kindnesses. I find this Said Qutb classic on Surah Al-Maoun irresistible and would like to share with you guys. I think his almost sublime treatment of the surah is the best so far I've read. And I've read quite a few tafsir works. While the Salafi tafsir Ibn Katsir and Sheikh Rashid Rida were so dry and very straightforward, and Hamka's treatment much better, Said Qutb's play with words and emotion I find very, very inspiring. Reading him provides me with the occasional honey and nectar that we often look in our everyday life within the faith. With the tsunamis hitting the shore of Japan and elsewhere yesterday, and the socio-political tsunami hitting the Middle East, which inevitably leads to further splintering of the Muslim Ummah and of course our collective strength, honey and nectar nowadays are hard to come by. I certainly have my own personal perception of what tsunamis represent locally, but in this age of political correctness, I will keep that perception of mine wholly private. Small kindnesses, Surah Al-Maoun. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Have you seen him who denies our religion? It is he who harshly repels the orphan and does not urge others to feed the needy. Woe to those who pray, but are heedless of their prayers, who put on a show of piety, but refuse to give even the smallest help to others. In the shade of the Qur'an, the surah is a Meccan revelation according to some authorities, and a Meccan Medinan one according to others. That is, the first three verses are said to have been revealed in Mecca and the rest in Medina. The latter opinion is perhaps more accurate. Yet the surah is one interwoven entity, aiming at the establishment of one of the most fundamental aspects of faith. For this reason, we are more inclined to take it as being an entirely Medinan revelation. Its subject matter is more in line with the topic of the part of the Quran revealed in Medina. It is related to the phenomena of hypocrisy and false appearances which were unheard of amongst the Muslim community in Mecca. But there is no need to reject the assertion that the surah is a Meccan Medinan revelation, because it is possible that the last four verses were sent down in Medina and integrated with the first three on grounds of similarity of subject. Having said that, let us now consider the surah. The surah of 7 short verses tackles an all-important and vital issue, which could very well change the common meanings normally assigned the terms of faith or iman and disbelief or kufur. Moreover, it brings forth the fundamental truths intrinsic in the nature of the Islamic faith, the enormous benefit it offers to all humanity, and the abundant blessing with which Allah favored mankind when He sent them His last message. Ladies and gentlemen, Islam is not a way of life built on ostentation and superficiality. The apparent aspects of the different acts of worship are, according to Islam, meaningless unless they are motivated by sincerity and devotion to Allah. Worship, sincerely motivated, produces effect within the individual's heart, which then cause him to act righteously, and which are reflected in a social behavior which elevates man's life on this earth. No less true is the fact that Islam is not a loose, fragmentary, disjointed system from which one can pick and choose at leisure. On the contrary, it is a complete way of life which acts of worship and rights as well as individual and collective obligations that are mutually complementary. Together, they lead to a goal of which mankind is the sole beneficiary, a goal which ensures that hearts are purified, life is ennobled, and men cooperate for the common good and progress, a goal wherein abounds the blessing of Allah. A man, for example, can profess to be a Muslim. That is, he accepts his religion and all its principles, offers prayers regularly, and observes other worships, and yet be lacking in a sense of faith and sincerity of belief. In fact, he may be very far from this, for there are signs which indicate the firm establishment of these qualities in man's heart. Have you seen him who denies our religion? It is he who harshly repels the orphan and does not urge others to feed the needy. The surah starts with a question addressed to all who can see, generating suspense and holding their attention in order to make them discover the target and subject of the surah. Who is this creature identified by the Qur'an as the one who denies the religion of Islam? Hence the answer, it is he who harshly repels the orphan and does not urge others to feed the needy. This definition of the disbelievers may sound surprising when compared with the traditional definition of faith, but this is the core of the whole matter. Indeed, the one who denies the faith is he who wickedly repels the orphan, humiliating him and hurting his feeling, and who does not care for the needy or their welfare. For if the truth of Islam has in any degree touched his heart, he would commit no such act. True belief in Islam is not a spoken word, but an overall change of the individual's heart, motivating him to benevolence and goodwill for all his fellow beings that are in need of his care and protection. Allah does not want mere words from his servant, but demands deeds to support the spoken words which otherwise are as weightless and valueless as blown ash. Nothing can be more forceful than these three verses, in affirming this fact which represent most aptly the nature of faith. We do not intend here to indulge in a juristic discussion on the boundaries of faith and Islam. These are required in legal affairs, whereas this surah states the fact that from Allah's point of view and judgment, which is quite different from the legal aspect. Next, Allah offers a practical illustration of what it meant above. Woe to those who pray, but are heedless of their prayers. These verses contain Allah's invocations against or a threat of destruction to those who offer prayers but are careless about them. Who are exactly such? There are those who put on a show of piety but refuse to give even the smallest help to others. They execute the mechanical aspect and pronounce the verbal formula of prayers, but their hearts are never alive to them, nor are they nourished by praying. The essence and purpose of prayer and its component parts, that is, recitation, supplication, and the exaltation of Allah, are never present in their souls. They offer prayers only to deceive others, and not out of devotion to Allah. Hence, they are inattentive when they pray. They only outwardly perform their prayers. Muslims are required to offer their prayers regularly, having in mind that their prayers are manifestation of their servitude to Allah alone. Thus, prayer leaves no result in those who are neglectful and inattentive to it. Consequently, they refuse to be kind or helpful to their fellow beings and deny the slightest charity to any of the servants of Allah. Once again, we find ourselves presented with the fundamental truth and the nature of this religion. A Quranic verse threatens with destruction certain people who offer prayers precisely because they carry out meaningless movement, devoid of any spirit of sense of purpose, intended for deceit and pretense, and not devoted to Allah. Since the prayers have not affected their heart and behavior, they are not merely useless, but rather a sin for which they are liable to severe punishment. From all this, we gather the purpose behind which Allah demands of His servant, and when He instructs them to live in and worship Him, to believe in and worship Him, He seeks no benefit thereof from Himself, as He is all affluent, but all He cares for is their own welfare and prosperity, purification of their hearts and happiness in their life. Allah wishes human life to be elevated, happy, based on pure motives and characterized by mutual compassion, brotherhood, and purity of hearts and behavior. To where then is humanity driving itself? Away from this abundance of mercy? Away from this wonderful and sublime path? How can mankind debase itself to living in the wilderness of a wretched and gloomy ignorance, when it holds a sparkling light of faith before its very eyes at the crossroad where it now stands? Till we meet again, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.